start to fall. You can take all your worth and just leave it. Leave it with your coat at the door. It's not about healing or needing words that maybe make it feel old. So baby, just breathe. Sink into something so deep. Take a moment or take a drink. Whatever you do, you're doing it, doing it, doing it. You're doing it for me. You lay out the words like a mystery, one you think that I can't solve. But if you solve them, you do love them. Nothing would make me feel small. Oh, baby, just breathe. Sink into something so deep. Take a moment or take a drink. Whatever you do, you're doing it, doing it, doing it. You're doing it for me. Run out of words for your temperament. The temperature's has changed. I hear you moving around in the kitchen, but I know you're not cooking for me. Oh, baby, just breathe. Sink into something so deep. Take a moment or take a drink. Whatever you do, yeah, doing it. So baby, just breathe. Won't you sink into something so deep? Take a moment or take yourself a drink. 'Cause whatever you do, yeah, doing it. You're doing it for me. For those of you who don't know us, my name is Rocky. I'm sure you all know TJ. TJ's the reason why we're here today, so thanks you guys. And this is Guy, and we are the Half-Guided Hearts. Thank you so much, RAD, for having us tonight. We will never say no to you as long as I'm in town, just so you know. So thanks for having us. Vote blue. This next one is called Sunglasses. Sink into a movie on a Friday night. Pick you up and you can find the sun still setting. I won't forget. Window talking to fill the space while I hang on to every word you say. You lean over the center console and whisper in my ear. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than right here. With you in my car on a Friday in June, eyes run out the window, and I go with you. Guitar is hell, but you make it cool when you put on my sunglasses. Yeah, you look so good in my sunglasses. Let your hair down, open the sunroof. I'm the luckiest girl in town. You're in my car on a Friday in June. Eyes run out the window. Can I go with you? Guitar is hell, but you make it cool when you put on my sunglasses. Yeah, you look so damn good in my sunglasses. Yeah, girl, you can keep them. I don't need them. They look better on you.
Hey Jenny, paging Jenny.
What time is it?
Afraid we won't be enough to keep drowning out all of my fears and all of my doubts. You want communion with miles between us. I want weakness that makes you us. I'm not running for once in my life. We're so thin you could blow them over. Heart so weak, but we call ourselves lovers. preaching my confidence, all before your throne. Don't push me out. Don't push me got nothing but truth, every lie, whole clue. It's getting hard to speak, still I love you the most. Thought I could blind you, change your mind, still you blind. Keep walking backwards, and it's me you forget. I'm not running I'm sticking it out, can't say I won't try. Put something you could blow my heart so weak, but reconnaissance like this. I'm preaching my confidence, all before your throne. Don't push me out. Don't push me You call me screaming for the first time in my head. I'm calling you out. Do you see me yet? You call me screaming for the last time in my head. You're calling me out. Do you miss me yet? Put something you could blow my heart. Heart so weak, but reconnaissance like I'm preaching my confidence, all before your throne. Don't When it's warm, it's warmer than it's ever been. And when it's cold, I convince myself I can never sin, but I'll come back. I'll come back eventually. When it's strong, it's probably bourbon in my coffee. When it's weak, it's probably you putting me back up on my feet. And I love it every time you unravel this heart. 'Cause you keep me here, you keep me ready, keep me hanging on your every word. You keep me close, you keep me steady, keep me coming back down to earth. Oh, keep me with you. When it's light, I know where I'm going. And when it's dark, I look to you to show what I don't know, and it's just me. Hadn't failed me so far. When it's soft, I fall into your embrace. When it's hard, I feel my heart try to run away. And then there's you, oh, there's you. Have to be where you are. 'Cause you keep me here, you keep me ready, keep me hanging on your every word. You keep me close, you keep me steady, keep me coming back down to earth. Oh, keep me with you, pull me down, head out of the clouds, safe with you on the ground. Keep me here, keep me ready, keep me hanging on your every word. Keep me close, keep me steady, keep me coming back down to earth. Keep me here, keep me ready, keep me hanging on your every word. Keep me close, keep me steady, keep me coming back down to earth. Oh, keep me with you. Keep me here, keep me ready, keep me hanging on your every word. Keep me close, keep me steady, keep me coming back down to earth. Oh, keep me with you. Thank you, everyone. I'm Rocky, this is Guy, and TJ. We are the Half Guided Hearts. Thanks again for having us this evening. Y'all are lovely. I'm happy to be here.
Jenny Laughlin to the stage. Oh, really?
Good evening, RAD. Good evening, RAD. Hi, y'all. We have got quite a crowd here tonight, and I just love that y'all came out to support Pride Happy Hour tonight. Woo! Thank you so much. There are a few people here tonight that have I was surprised there's not more, because a lot of people signed up that I didn't recognize, and I think there's a few people here tonight that are from Stonewall Democrats tonight. How many people are here from Stonewall? Woo! Love that you guys came all the way up to Richardson for this is Stonewall Dallas. I appreciate y'all coming up here and celebrating with us. It is just great to see such a good crowd tonight. We're finally able to be outside. It's not raining. It's not hailing. It's not freezing. So glad that you guys are here. I wanted to say this. Y'all know that this is election year. And stating the obvious, right? But here's what I want to say about that. We are going to spend a lot of money this year. And we have a lot of things that we want to do that some of it costs some money. And so the more money that we bring in, and we bring in money mostly by just donations as membership donations. So if you have not renewed or ever joined RAD, please, there's a thing on your table. This is a QR code. Yep, that's what they called. QR code. You can scan this and join RAD. We suggest a $25 donation. We love it at any level, but if you can possibly do a recurring donation, it really helps us with our planning and to do things like this. We have a lot of election year things that we're going to be doing, and appreciate everyone's support. If you have on a RAD sticker tonight that has your name printed on it already, then you are a current member. If not, we invite you to scan that QR code. Thank you. Robert's got the QR code back in the back there, if anybody wants it from there. Tonight we are going to be hearing from 3 special speakers. Appreciate them coming up tonight. But before we get started with that, I want to introduce a couple of people that are here that are either candidates or people that have been elected recently. And first of all, I think you probably have heard that we had the state convention, Democratic State Convention, last week. And at that convention, they elect, the party members elect executive committee members. And that is going to be, it used to be a Senate, state Senate district, and each one correlated with that, but now it has turned to a congressional district. And so CD 32 is most of Richardson, and Mike Rollins is our new CDEC. It's what? SDEC. It's still called SDEC, but it goes with the congressional district, I think. Come on up and tell us about that, Mike. And thank you for running for that. Thank you for doing that work.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, we were organized by Senate district, as Jenny was saying, but rules changed for this year, and now members are elected by congressional district starting now. So, as Jenny said, we were elected at the state convention, starting with the CD 32 caucus. The committee, there is a committee man and a committee woman from each congressional district. Annette Krause, whom many of you know may know from Dallas County, longtime precinct chair and activist, was elected the committee woman. So as far as what the state committee does, it kind of does for the state party what your county executive committee does for the county party. We're supposed to oversee the operations of the party, make sure the programs that are in process are being executed correctly by staff. Annette and I have a lot of ideas about how we want to make things work better and fix some things that are broken. Another big part of that is that we want to stay in touch with you guys. So we're setting up an email list. I'll post instructions about how to subscribe to that on the RAD Facebook group. You'll get at most 2 emails a quarter, once before a SDEC meeting to tell you what we're probably going to do, and then a report afterward. So if you have ideas, concerns about what's going on with the state party, please feel free to talk to Annette or me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike, and congratulations on the election. We invited Mihaela Plisa tonight, but she was not able to come. She's the House District 70 which is one little corner of Richardson, but I'm thrilled that it's my corner. So I'm going to have her representative come up and talk to us just a bit about her campaign, because she is in a very competitive campaign.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Okay, thank you for saying that. My name is Donovan Rodriguez, and I am Representative Mihaela Plesa's Chief of Staff. So thank you for having us today. As you know, Representative Plesa is our only Democratic representative in Collin County. That could not happen without y'all's support, with trailblazers before us like Ms. Hirsch and all of the work that y'all do. Collin County has an 84% turnout rate. I mean, that is just unheard of. Congratulations to y'all. Congratulations. Now we are starting the campaign, and so I'm looking at these numbers, and we are going to need a lot of help. Mihaela, as you all know, is a very hard worker. She knows exactly where she needs to hit. I can show you the map of my red precincts that we're going to do a little more work in, but we have to create that grassroots movement again. The other side is very well funded. Last time they put $4 million in this race, but that was nothing to Mihaela walking and knocking 10,000 doors. And we will outwork them again. I promise you that. We will outwork them again. Simultaneously, while we're working on the campaign, we're already putting bills into draft. We're already working on legislation next session. That includes protection for IVF. That includes holding people to the grid accountable to make sure we're not left in the dark. That includes, we got a ton of stuff that we're working on. Yeah. Plano ISD and all our ISDs are our biggest stakeholder, protecting our public schools, voting against vouchers. I mean, yeah, that's a given. So we're going to keep working hard for you. Please reach out to us. And we really need the support. We need the grassroots efforts again. Let's host something in your neighborhood, your community center, what have you. We can do it political or even a town hall legislative style if you have a restrictive, concerns. And we appreciate your help, and thank you. We're going to do it again.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to come tonight and represent her. She is one of the hardest working representatives in Austin, and we're just really, really lucky to have her. Are there any other candidates or electeds here? Yes, you can. Come on up. Sharon Hirsch is a previous candidate for HD 66 and just an all-round awesome person.
Thank you. That was very nice. I'm here tonight representing George King, who's running for the State Board of Education. Yay, District 12. George is my good friend and my former boss, and when he retired last year, I said, I have something for you to do. Would you like to run for the State Board of Education? He has 40 years experience in our schools as both a teacher and an administrator, and he would be such a valuable voice on our state board. There are only 15 spots on that board, so these districts are huge. District 12 is 10 entire counties and parts of 2 counties. And why I want to have you all put it on your radar is it is all of Collin County and 12% of Dallas County. And that makes up a really big chunk of the voters in this district. The rest of it goes up north. Suzanne Smith came within 2 percentage points of winning this in 2018, and then they gerrymandered the heck out of it. But George is fantastic. We could really use your support. GeorgeKingForEducation.com. Check out his website. Make a donation if you can. Sign up to volunteer. And it would be fantastic if George represented us. One quick thing. There are 10 Republicans and 5 Democrats on this board. And these are the people that approve the curriculum and the textbook and educational materials for the classroom. And they have made this very much about ideology, pushing prayers and Bible studies and stuff into our curriculum, denying climate change, changing history, to their liking. So this is a really important race, and we would appreciate your support. George King for Education.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do want to acknowledge that we have one of our city council members here tonight, Curtis Dorian. Thank you so much for being here and for your support, for your service. Appreciate you. Catalina Garcia is here. Yes, Catalina Garcia just won the Dallas College Board of Trustees position. She was reelected and will have, is it 6 years now that you'll be on the, yeah. Very good. And her t-shirt says, "Underestimate me, that'll be fun." I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming up tonight. Stephen Firebaugh is a precinct chair just over here by the other high school. What's it called? Berkner. In College Park. He wants me to tell you that his precinct just purchased one of these type of tent covering things, and that we are all welcome to use them for get out the vote, voter registration, that kind of thing. So if you have an event coming up that you need some kind of a shelter for, please get in touch with Stephen. He's back in the back there. Am I missing any other announcements? I think without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker this evening. Demondre Montgomery is going to be our first speaker. As you know, because you came tonight to support, we are going to be focusing this evening on LGBTQ rights and issues. And Dre, come on up. Dre is a Dre is a candidate for Justice of the Peace, District 3-2, and that's going to be on not this year's ballot, but the following year. He is also an activist and social advocate, and I am proud that you came up tonight to talk with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Demondre Montgomery. I am a 26-year-old Democrat. Can you hear me? You guys can hear me in the back? Can y'all hear me now? Okay, so I have to cover up the mic. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So once again, my name is Demondre Montgomery. I go by Dre. My pronouns are he, him, his. I want to start off basically just telling you guys about me. So I am a co-chair in the HTPN 096, which is an organization that is reducing the stigma and the HIV rate here in Dallas County. Also, my leadership role in Dallas Southern Pride, which is the third largest black gay pride in the United States of America currently. We just had a outstanding weekend this past weekend for 3 days. They've been doing this for over 15 years, and we bring about a $4 million economic impact back into Dallas. I'm also a part of the City of Dallas LGBT Task Force, basically working alongside the city councilman and providing assistance where it is needed. Can you guys still hear me in the back? Yes? Okay. So basically, some of the things that I want to talk about is being a LGBT candidate for office, and how that looks, the lack of support that we sometimes get, and the feelings that LGBT individuals and the stigma that we have when we are running. Currently, as you guys know, there was a State Representative Vincent Jones. He was elected as one of the State Representative District 100 as an openly black gay male living with HIV. But there was also a stigma that came with that, the negative condensation that, number one, a youth cannot run for office. Believe it or not, that you guys, I don't know what you guys consider youth is. I kind of consider anybody 45 and under as a part of the youth committee. So I want to add, whoever haven't heard that you're a part of the youth, I want to go ahead and tell you to come on over, back on over to this side. You are a part of the youth. we want to make sure that we're not assuming and we're respecting the votes of the LGBT individuals. A lot of times they're overlooked. They're individuals that are a part of the LGBT community that identify as male or identify as female, my trans men and women, that when they go to these voting polls, when they're running for office, they get misgendered on purpose, purposely being misgendered, which is causing a lot of the LGBT youth and a lot of the LGBT individuals to feel as if they don't want to go out and vote. Currently, Dallas County does not have any kind of policy in place for when trans men or trans women are coming up to the polls and voting, when they're showing their driver's license that they have not changed over to show that they are identified as a male or female. There's no policies in place for these election judges or these election officials to give them the correct genders when they do come. And this is causing a lot of these trans men and women not to want to come to the polls. Ultimately, this is one of the biggest things. I have Ahmad Gori. He's here. He is working tirelessly to make sure that we get a policy in place, not only in the city of Dallas, but also in the county of Dallas elections department. So then there are training for individuals to know how to handle these different situations. We cannot take the votes for granted. We need to show that we are trusting them by willing to fight alongside us. So currently, legislation has been attacking us left and right when it comes to gender affirming care, when it comes to LGBT individuals being able to adopt, when it comes to LGBT individuals being able to get married. These are things that are common rights currently, but each and every legislation session, they are coming up with different bills to try to throw that out. Currently, we have people, once again, like Vincent Jones, who is a representative for the community, coming out and making sure that our voices are being heard. But it takes a community. It takes you guys. We can't just put it all on one person, or just because this person is a part of the community, we believe that they're the sole advocate for this community. It takes people who are not a part of the community to be able to come out, show out in support, not just during Pride Month, not just during election time, but throughout the year when you have these attacks, these direct attacks towards the LGBT community coming out, making sure that you guys are on the forefront as well. It's a lot of individuals here. I don't know who identifies a part of the LGBT community, but I would love to have all of you guys as an activist in this community. So moving forward from the vote wise and going into being a candidate for office, a lot of times the younger generations and the African American generation who want to run for office are oftentimes overlooked. I don't know if anybody is familiar. I did run 3 years ago for Dallas County Constable Precinct 3. I was in the primaries and I lost my primary election by 30 votes. 30 votes. Each of you guys that came out and voted possibly voted for me. And it was those 30 votes of people that underestimated the calls that I received saying, hey, you don't need to run for office. You're too young. You know, hey, they're not going to like you being a part of the LGBT community. Definitely when you have somebody else that's opposed to you. And when you hear those different things, these are the stigmas that the community, it keeps us from voting. Once again, it keeps us from even wanting to run. When I lost my election, it was the feeling of, okay, well, I didn't win my election because I wasn't qualified. I lost my election because I was a part of the LGBT community. And Precinct 3, Highland Park, oh no, they may not have voted for me. It's already, they already looked at one thing. They said I was a part of the LGBT community. That automatically took me off the ballot. These are the things that a lot of the individuals that are running for office are coming to every single day. So there's a slew of individuals that want to run. They have the qualifications to run, the heart to run. That's a lot of times that we overlook. It's that heart to run. A lot of people, they're running for titles, they're running for this. Everybody has a different reason why they're running. But the ultimate reason that we need to have is that heart for running. And when you push people out that have that heart for running, that's when you not only are taking a qualified candidate or a great candidate out of the race, but that potentially keeps that individual from wanting to run for any other office at any other time. It's hard for you guys. I don't know if anybody else, I see a lot of candidates, elected officials. I don't know how many times you guys ran to get into you guys' spot. It's hard for when you get that first time hearing, hey, you almost had it. I mean, you were right there. You were right there on the cusp, but you didn't get it. And to hear those things, it's sad, but it's even more sad when someone tries to say, well, it may have been because of your sexuality. It may have been because of your race. It may have been because of all of these different stigmas that people have negative connotations on and want to put you in a box. And a lot of times the LGBT community are felt as if we are being put inside of a box and we can't get out. During Pride Month, we have overwhelming support. People have their t-shirts on, they have their, they're out with their flags, they're at Pride Dallas, they're at all of these different prides. And then throughout the year, when issues are going on, when my trans sisters are being killed or my trans brothers are being killed, they overlook it. And those are some of the issues that we want to make sure that you guys keep on the back on you guys' mind throughout the year, not just during Pride Month. So I don't want to take up too much time with you guys. There's other candidates, there's other people that are going to be telling you more information, but I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted a few things of just making sure that you guys continue to stay active inside of the community, not just during Pride Month. Support your local candidates, your younger candidates. There are times where we understand that individuals have been in place for 40 plus years. Why change? We understand that. But at some point in time, you have to bring in these new ideas. There will be no change if we continue to elect the same individuals over and over again. Whenever you bring in these younger candidates that have these progressive mind states or a new mind state, that's when we'll be able to see more change inside of legislation, inside of our county, inside of our cities, and inside of our neighborhoods. Again, my name is Demondre Montgomery, and thank you guys for having me coming out.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a good reminder for us because what I want tonight is to get from these speakers, what can we do as a community to support people in these in this? I mean, they're people. I mean, why do we have to even say that they're LGBTQ? But their rights, as Dre is saying, are being tried to be taken away every time there's another session. So thank you for that. Our next speaker is Susie Hess. She is the president of the Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, and we're just really thrilled tonight to have her with us tonight.
Thank you, Jenny. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me okay? Awesome. So, Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, you probably remember a time in the very recent past where we were renaming places that had the word Stonewall in them because of a negative connotation. I just want to disabuse anyone who's not familiar with the Stonewall Inn in New York, where that is the source of the current LGBTQIA2S plus movement, where it started. The Stonewall Inn, we say Pride began as a riot. People were enjoying their own community in peace, meeting friends, and the police would raid them, and they would throw people in jail and post their names and where they worked in the newspaper the next day, and people were becoming unemployed, etc. That was 1969, and the people who started this, who finally had enough courage to throw the first brick or bottle or whatever you want to call it, the people who had the most courage to do this were the ones that were the most marginalized in our community. The transgender women of color. They stood up. They fought. They finally said, enough is enough, and we're going to stop. So when you hear Stonewall, We are very aptly named after that fortuitous event that gave people the courage to start. People have always had courage. Think of James Baldwin, think of Bayard Rustin. Yesterday was Juneteenth. We're still in the middle of Juneteenth celebrations. I will absolutely tell you that without Bayard Rustin, there would not have been a nonviolent revolution that we know of as a civil rights movement, right? He was the right-hand person to Martin Luther King Jr. And he chose to step back and allow his position to be a little bit more advisory and in the background because he wanted the movement to succeed. Joyfully today, we don't have to step back. We are leading these movements. Our candidates and our elected officials, like Sheriff Lupe Valdez, glass ceiling breakers, courageously stepping forward to be represented in these roles. And I can see a day when he's just gone inside, but I can see a day when Dre is absolutely elected to a position, right, and serving. It takes a lot of courage to put your name on a ballot. And we understand that sometimes people feel like they have to make compromises when they run for office and feel like they can't fully support a community. And if you're on the Republican side, that is absolutely what we are seeing today. They are trying to use the LGBTQ community to tear people apart within our own community. And if I may, one of the main targets, tragically, is the tea in the community. So I'm going to spill some tea tonight because I happen to be married to a beautiful transgender woman. My wife, Michelle, is here with us tonight. And I will say, when you find a subject that you're really not sure how to deal with that, I implore you, in our community, ask somebody who can help you understand it. Don't just automatically assume that transgender girls are trying to change their gender, right, to identify as a girl just so they can compete in a better standing in an athletic competition. That is utter, and I'm going to call it out, I don't see any children here, it's utter bullshit, right? Kids just want to play sports. Kids just want to be who they are. And we're living in a time when, imagine that we're all swimming in a pool and everybody's just swimming along, right? Two arms. Everybody's got different abilities to be able to float on the water, but everyone who's trans has to hold a giant yoga ball under the water and pretend that yoga ball's not there and smile and look around and do everything that everybody else does, but hide this essential part of yourself, right? This is what people were being told to do. Don't come out, it's too dangerous, you'll get murdered, right? That's a real possibility for some people. When people are finally exhausted enough to let their arm go and let that yoga ball pop to the surface, if we're not the first ones to look them in the eye and say, you know what, I believe you. Thank you for trusting me enough to tell me who you are. It's as simple as that when someone comes out to you, right? It is as simple as that. And that's how I felt with my wife. She was holding this burden that she didn't even realize was there due to conditioning, due to being in a military family, growing up right here in Richardson, feeling like there was something that she couldn't tell anyone. And she's given me permission to share this, otherwise I wouldn't, right? But when you think about the burden that is of not being able to be who you are authentically and fully and bring your entire self to everything that you do, all that energy that's going into this is released. So what Stonewall Democrats of Dallas does is we obviously we're a group of people who are either openly LGBTQ or questioning or allies to the community. We have a significant amount of our members who are elected officers, candidates for office, etc. We have, like, from the top of the ticket all the way down to the last position on the ballot, right? We have representation from allies. But our goal is really to make sure that people understand and have a source where they can ask questions if they need to, right? Of a safe group that will help them understand, hey, you know, I really think you'd be more successful if you put it this way instead of the way that you're currently saying it. Or if you just quit trying to think of something as ooky or wrong if you don't even know anything about that medically, right? I do want to say one thing very clearly. When Republicans talk about the trans community, they go immediately to altering body parts. This does not happen with children. It does not happen with children. It does not happen with children. And anytime you hear that, I want you to smack back. Not smack. I mean, there's a temptation. But I want you to be respectful of the conversation and say you do realize that you're not using medical facts, right? Because I think the more people who understand what happens with the LGBTQ community, the better off we can all be in defending it, defending the rights of people, again, who just want to exist and contribute. You know, one of the greatest joys and blessings of my life is being the first ally to the community to be elected as president of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, because I still consider myself to be more of an ally than a queer person. I guess I married into it. But we have such an amazing community, and it's not just about hanging out at bars and getting drunk and getting sex or whatever. It's about paying our taxes, paying our bills, going to work, raising our pets or children. LGBTQ people, this last, there's something new that the Republicans are attacking people on, and that's the opportunity to adopt children. And what I will say is there are so many dedicated couples in the LGBTQ community who would love to be able to adopt children and who have done that and successfully raised kids that nobody else wanted to raise. That it's a tragedy that that's one of the rights that they're trying to come after. So I don't want to take forever. I feel like I've already talked long enough, and we've got an incredible speaker coming behind me with a wealth of knowledge. What I'd like to say is, how many of you have heard of Equality Texas? Show of hands. Excellent. For those of you who don't know of Equality Texas, they are the advocates across all of Texas for the LGBTQ community. Have you heard of the Texas Freedom Network? Texas Freedom Network is also a source that we rely on a lot to make sure that, you know, we're opposing book bans and educational retrogression, let me put it that way, right? We want to make sure that everyone has access to those resources so that you can be informed as the Texas legislative session gears up. Stonewall Democrats of Dallas covers the four corners of Dallas County, and so if there's a contest that dips into Dallas County, even the slightest, and it's a competitive Democratic primary, we do an endorsement process. And Jenny attended part of it, and many of you have participated in that as well, and you know the depth and extent that we go into with a questionnaire, with an in-person interview, with private deliberations, with then a cooling off period and a committee report, and then the entire membership at large later, 2 weeks later usually, gets to approve or disapprove that slate for our primary. So we are incredibly intense and very purposeful in that. And so that's why a lot of people, regardless of where they are in the county or in the state, enjoy becoming a member of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas so that they can participate in that incredibly important process. And we try to make it very welcoming for everyone who wants to come in. We have had some people that we would possibly never consider endorsing, but we still make it respectful for them as they come in, right? And I just encourage people to get involved in that if that is something that you'd like to do. There are some level of city council and sometimes municipal nonpartisan races that we've gotten involved in if people want to do that. But that's one of the biggest things that we do, and it is absolutely a labor of love, as Dree knows because he was part of the committee for the endorsements, and it was intense. I'm going to go ahead and just stop talking now because I really need y'all to pay attention to the next speaker. Do you want me to introduce her, or would you prefer to?
Yes.
All right. Our incredible former county sheriff, who is the top law officer in the entire county, who was elected first before Dallas County ever turned blue. She courageously ran. She can tell you her own backstory. Honestly, it almost goes without saying my deep, deep admiration for our former Sheriff Lupe Valdez and candidate for governor.
Stand back. Right here? Okay, okay. How many of you are old enough to remember a commercial by Virginia Slims called You Come a Long Way, Baby? Ah, we got a bunch of oldies here, huh? Yes, I do. I remember it very well. In 1989, there was a woman called Micah England who was from Oklahoma, and the recruiters from DPD, is that better? Thank you. The recruiters from DPD told her that it was okay to be gay and come out and apply. So she came from Oklahoma, she moved over, and it turned out the recruiters were only trying to pull her in. And so when she applied and she admitted that she was lesbian, for the next year and a half, they dragged her through the mud because she wanted to become part of DPD. The folks who were already in were angry at her because they were making it miserable for them, because everybody knew there was gay and lesbian people in the department, but nobody would say anything about it because it was against the rules. Okay? So she comes up and she says, I'm not lying. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I was a very closeted federal agent at the time. They were sending me to Colombia, and they were sending me to Venezuela, and they were sending me to Uruguay, and they were sending me to Brazil. They were sending me to all these places, and I was extremely closeted because I saw what they were doing to her. They were literally dragging her through the mud, and all she said, and all she wanted to do was to become a Dallas police officer. You know, and it was so painful that I heard that Barney Franks, any of you remember Barney Franks? He was a gay man who was very high up in Congress. I heard that he was coming to town. So I scraped up my money. I didn't have much money back then. Scraped up my money to go hear him. And as soon as I had an opportunity, I went up to him and I said, I'm lesbian. Can they fire me? And he said, let me, what department? I was the Department of Treasury. I was a federal agent with the Department of Treasury. Back then, it was divided, and now it's Homeland Security. I literally have a piece of paper that says, original member of Homeland Security. Like, what do you do with that? Paint the wall or something? I don't know. But before that, Department of Treasury had a lot of federal law enforcement. And a Secret Service and a whole bunch of others. And then they put them together. It was Department of Treasury and Department of Justice. And then they put them together and it became Homeland Security. But I was Department of Treasury. And so I said to him, I'm with Department of Treasury. So he says, let me talk to the head of Treasury and give me your number and give me your address and I'll write you back. I still have that letter that says, they can't fire you for being lesbian, but they'll find another reason. You know, so this is what we had to deal with. And it's so exciting now that I see openly gay and lesbian folks and the whole other alphabet. Excuse me, I'm not as patient as everybody else to do the LGBTQ, Y, Q, I don't know what else. But I'm not, and so, because I'm old enough that it's like, it was just LGBT. And anyway, so in 2004, I decided to run for office. And several people said to me, don't let it come out. Don't let it come out that you're lesbian. I went through a couple of elected officials and they said, don't let it come out or you'll never get elected. This was 2004. So I did everything to try and hold it down, but I knew it was going to come out eventually. And my opponent held a press conference with the Eagle Forum. Do any of you remember what the Eagle Forum was? Okay. My opponent had a press conference with the Eagle Forum and they outed me. Oh, you want me to stay back here, right? It's hard for me because I'd like to talk to you. I want to see your face. It's like I want to get close to you. So it's hard for me to stay where I'm supposed to stay. Maybe they need to draw a little circle and say, stand here. But anyway, and so I decided, at that point, it was, they always do this right about early voting. Right about early voting, they'll put out something really bad about the opposite person or something. And sure enough, they had a press conference and they outed me. And I was so nervous. I'm going, oh my goodness, I thought I had a good chance that I could win, and now, oh my goodness. And so when I won, I was extremely surprised, but the neat thing was that a lot of people took me just as I am. All of the folks who continually voted for me said, we'll take you just as you are. And for the next 2 years, the Dallas Morning News has always hated me, and for the next 2 years, every time they mentioned my name, Lupe Valdez, lesbian sheriff. Look it up. Yep. Look it up. For 2 years, Lupe Valdez, lesbian sheriff, until I think the public went so much against them that they stopped. But they really wanted to put it out there, Lupe Valdez. But the neat thing, there's a couple of things that happened really neat. There's a lot of things that happened really neat. I'm only going to take about 10 minutes, so I don't want to go through a lot. Right after I won, I was so nervous. And so I would go to the grocery store and people would say, oh, you're the lesbian that won. That's me. Hello. And so, and it was a little, and I think it was the first time that a Hispanic had won, because the Hispanic community really made a lot of noise about it. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't fill my car up with gas. I couldn't do anything because it's like, whoa, excuse me, hi, And so my staff was really neat. One of the things I love to do when I have a big decision or when I'm real angry, I need one right now, but is take a silent retreat. And we didn't have phones back then, the beepers and all that stuff. Take a silent retreat so that I can just be alone with my thoughts, and that's it. Nothing. And so my staff knew that, so they made arrangements for me to go on a silent retreat. And I went on Southwest. Don't make fun. Cattle car driving. They ask. That's me. I always pick that one. And so as I'm sitting waiting, this lady keeps staring at me, and I'm going, oh no, here it comes. And she just kept staring at me, and I would do this, and she would go around that way, and then I would do this, and she would go around that way, and I'm going, uh-oh, it's going to be one of these ladies that are going to yell at me. You queer, you won, and so when I got on, I went way to the back so that nobody would bother me, so they would leave me alone. And by the way, most of the time, I don't care that you bother me, interrupt my meals, interrupt Not when I'm in the toilet, but everywhere else, you know, go ahead and interrupt me. But so I went all the way back and I sat down, and sure enough, here comes this lady, and you can see her looking. And she sits right next to me, and I'm going, uh-oh. You know, so I looked at her, and she was a nicely dressed Anglo woman. And, you know, it was one of the first times that I was in public, you know, as a, say, lesbian Hispanic. So it was kind of different for me, you know. It was like, how do I fit in here? And so this woman sits next to me, and she just starts talking away. She starts telling me about her husband, who's a coach, and they're down south and playing a football game, and she's going to go down and meet him. And I'm going, what does this woman want with me? She's Anglo? I'm not Anglo. She's from the suburbs. She was from Plano or Frisco or somewhere, and I'm going, I'm not suburb. She was well-to-do, you could tell, and I'm going, certainly not well-to-do. We don't want. And she was probably Republican, you know. So what does she have to do with me, you know? And so we start talking, and then she says, "My son is gay." Here it comes. And she said, on your election night, the whole room of my family was sitting there cheering. Every time you got a point, they cheered. And I said, well, thank you. Tell me about your son. She said, thanks for asking. My son, we were so worried about him. In high school, you know, football coach for a dad. What do they want their son to be? He probably loved cooking and other stuff like that. And she said, we were so worried about him. We thought he was going to commit suicide. Because, you know, he had not come out to us. He had not come out to anybody. We couldn't really see what was going on, but we knew there was something wrong. And she said, and I would literally go up to his room and check on the light and tap to make sure that he hadn't committed suicide. So I said, and how is he now? And she says, oh my goodness, him and his partner come on over to our house every Sunday, and we have dinner together, and he's very happy with his partner. They live just a couple of blocks from us. And she just started telling me all about their relationship. And so I was thrilled that all this was going on. And then we land, and then she starts leaving, and she pulls her camera, and she says, I have to take a picture of you. My son will never believe that I sat next to you. And then she said, on your election, you validated my son. And as she walks out, I wanted to scream, why does one have to be elected to get validated as a human being? Why do we have to do the unusual to get validated for who we are? You know, we walk and we talk and we do everything and we eat just as normal as anybody else. We just happen to love different. My goodness, we all love a little different. So why does somebody have to be validated? May you be validated for who you are, no matter what it takes in you to be validated as a human being. I am a Democrat because we accept people as they are and we validate them for who they are. And we're darn good on business too. I get tired of people saying Republicans are the ones forbidden. No! The ones that are coming out with more businesses are the Democrats. The Hispanic female and the black female are the #1 small business starters in the United States. So we are validating for business also. We need to be able to let people hear us, that we are for business and people. I always end a lot of my political sayings with Democrats good for business and people. We're good for business, but we don't forget about the people. They're just as important as the businesses. And I don't want to take too much longer, but I'm going to share one more story. I love the way things happen. I'm old enough that a lot of things have happened to me. And those of you who remember the Virginia Slims have an idea about how old I am. You know, I'm pretty much old. But I'm not that loud. So I had the honor of running for governor. And we went to a small town outside of Houston. It was on the way from Houston to Corpus, and we used to do stops all along the way. So we had arranged to stop at a small town right outside south of Houston. So I'm sitting there talking, and then I finished talking, and I, of course, talked with everybody in the audience. And this little girl comes up. I'd say she was 13 years old. She comes up and she goes, "My mommy said I had to meet you." "Okay, how are you?" "My mommy said I should come hear you tonight." "Well, did you get an opportunity?" "Did you understand anything I said?" And then I said, "Why does your mom say all this?" She said, "I get bullied in school." And of course I hugged her, you know, just typical Hispanic female. "Oh, poor little girl, come on." Here, hide her in my body or something, I don't know. And so I hugged her. And she said, "I get bullied because I like girls." And so I literally sat down with her. And I said, "You want to cry together? I'm okay with that. We can sit down and cry." And she says, "We live in a small town. I get bullied all the time because I like girls." And I said, "You know what? I like girls too, and I'm running for governor." But to make a short story boring, we'll go ahead and stop, because I could go on all night. Believe me, there's enough stories in my life that if you live them and you make the positive, which I'm trying to do now, you make the positive of them, you know, they come out very well. And I want to end with saying, there's a lot of people in the world that are still hurting because of who they are. Whether they're LGBT or have some other issues, depression, suicide, whatever. You know, we need to be okay with who they are. I may not spend the rest of my life with you, and I may not even want to be your friend. But I want to be okay with who you are. Because you are enough, and you don't need any additional validation than what you get right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do y'all have questions for our panel? Because I want to bring them back up here and just give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have, find out any other information. Why don't the three of you come on up? And we'll take just about, 5-10 minutes, take a few questions, and just have the opportunity to just talk with them a little bit. So come on over here. We'll put this back here. Y'all come on up in here. Come on up in here. Yeah, move up in here. All right, I'm going to give you the microphone, and you...
No, wait a minute. I want you to take a look. Black, Hispanic, white.
This is for people around.
Male, female. Okay, I want to... if you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll come over here with the phone.
And if you don't, it's okay too.
Yeah.
Speak into it. Dre.
It won't, it's only
What do I have to do?
On the video.
Got it. Dre, why would you even want to set yourself up for this kind of exposure?
Well, number one, thank you for the question. I feel like I'm at the Stonewall endorsement meeting. Setting myself up for the, putting myself out there, basically, that's what I'm going to say. I want to put myself out there because I am born and raised in Dallas. I'm from Dallas. I've stayed in Dallas County my whole life. Bringing back, I graduated from Cedar Hill Collegiate, just wanted to throw that out there. So I graduated from an early college high school in Cedar Hill. And since then, I dedicated myself to public service. I went from Dallas County Sheriff's Office. I worked under her administration. This was my first law enforcement job at 18 years old. I was working at Lusteria Justice Center.
Smart guy.
From there, I went to 2 more law enforcement agencies before I opened up and went into the private sector. So I own my own security company currently. Putting myself out there basically is me bringing back to the community. I see issues inside of this community. I see people that feel like they're a part of they're a part of a stigma inside this community. Number one, you don't have a lot of people that look like me that want to run for office, that genuinely want to come back to the community and represent for my generation, first and foremost, but for the people that I grew up around. All of you all were the same age. Well, you guys were all alive. I mean, I see you guys here. So you guys were all alive as I was growing up. So being able to take that torch, take what you guys have put out into the community, take it and run with it, because let's be honest, everybody will not be here forever. There are going to be people that we want to put in place to learn, to understand this is how it was in the past. Take the past, spin it with some of the new, and go forth with it to make a better area, make a better shout out to Dark, to make a better environmental community for us all to live in. So I want to put myself out there to show other people, win, lose, or draw, continue going forward. If your mindset says public service, continue doing that public service. Don't let anyone, you guys tell your kids all this all the time, don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. And even as an adult, don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. Continue doing it, continue getting that foot forward and putting yourself out there. So just basically telling other people that they...
Our constable cider, I guess, is really known as the eviction court. What is your feelings on that process? Basically, how do you feel about the evictions that he handles? What kind of tenant relief do you think you could offer, or along those lines?
You also? So, first and foremost, Dallas County has a eviction protection program where every single year, in the summertime, every August, they re-up on federal funds to be able to, if you do get an eviction notice, there are funding available through the county. As long as you do not stay in the city of Dallas, you have county funding that will pay for you to basically have rent relief. So a lot of times during COVID, they had the Texas rent relief that was providing rent relief for people. Dallas County have been having programs in place to prevent people from being put out of their homes or put out of their apartments or places that they stay, and to prevent people from homelessness, basically. But there are other people that, if you're living with HIV or you're living with different health disparities, there are programs that also prevent you from getting evicted. So a lot of these JPs, and luckily Judge Swartz has kind of taken me under his wing, and I shadow him a few times a week just to learn the process. I'm early in saying that I'm running for office, but I want to make sure that I'm learning the different processes, so when I do come in, I know exactly what I'm doing. Judge Swartz is good at providing those resources to these tenants, not just, I have to, and Judge Swartz is good at saying this, I don't know if any of you guys have been there, hey, I have to grant them this eviction. Although, you can appeal it, apply for relief, and if they provide you with that relief, they can come back and dismiss it. Judge Swartz is good at providing these resources to these citizens to ensure that they're not being put out of their home. A lot of times, and I'm not just speaking on Judge Sider, it's other judges, that they don't necessarily provide that information to residents, and residents don't know anything about it until the day that they're coming for court, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know that I could qualify for that. I've been jobless for 2 months. I didn't know that there were programs set forth in Dallas County that always have funding, and every August re-up their funding to ensure that when people are not being put out on the streets.
Which is extremely important, but we also need to see the other side. I always like to see 2 sides. And that's the person that has to pay the mortgage on those departments. And being in law enforcement, we've gone many times to many of these houses. And then you show up and they have ordered Uber Eats for the whole family. They have the best nails in the house. They have all nice nails. They have a decent car, but they won't pay their rent. You know, you have to look at both sides. There are the people that cannot, they don't have jobs, you lost your job. There's things you can do there. There's both the city and the county have help. If you physically or emotionally or mentally issues, you can get help. But if you don't want to do any of these, and you just want to have somebody else take care of you, the landlord can't do it. So we have to put both sides. We have to be honest and we have to be fair, but we're also business and we also care about people. So we have to do both.
My question is also for Dre. It's actually a comment and a question. So I'm on the Community Elections Advisory Committee, and also I'm an election judge. And gender is not a question just for everybody. There is no one needs to ask the gender. That is not a question when someone comes to vote. It's not a question. It's not a comment. And we are actually trained that. So my question is, what happened? Did something happen? I'd like to know, because we have a meeting coming up. I mean, what exactly is the policy that you mentioned?
Yes, ma'am. So I do understand where you're stating that gender is not a question, although gender is looked at when you look at the identification. So if someone when they took their identification prior to their transition, they were a male, and they are transitioning to female, their identification prior to getting any kind of operations done or prior to getting any kind of gender affirming care, it's going to show, the legal wise, it's going to show not only is this person a male legally, but it's also going to show their past photograph. Right. And their past photograph might identify, or they may look totally different than they do when they present themselves. And a lot of times there was an election judge that had just left. He stated that, hey, I had an issue just like that. I stated, hey, these pictures don't match on the identification, and these pictures don't match on this identification. But they took, as soon as he pointed that out, they took the identification and they left. So those are the kind of issues that we want to try to, even though it's wrong, it's still being done.
That's why, anyway,
yes, ma'am.
If I can talk to you after, that'd be great.
Definitely.
We need to address those election judges.
Yes, ma'am.
That's already talk. What their picture, you don't even have, anyway, yeah.
I'd like to also say something about this. We use the term assigned male at birth or assigned female at birth for a reason, because the outsides don't sometimes match the insides. It's a small percentage of people. People who are non-binary or who are trans and undergoing transition, I want to be very clear here. You don't have to do any surgery at all to express yourself in the gender that you want to present yourself as, right? You don't, like, I don't know a person here in this group that would ever look at someone and immediately ask them what is below their zipper. It's an improper, very impolite question. And I would hope that everybody would get that baked in their minds, that they would not do that. There is a remedy for folks who are trans, who maybe don't have the ID that matches. You can apply for an ID exemption. That is a possibility with the Dallas County elections. And you don't have to present photo ID if you have a photo ID exemption, right? So that is a possibility, if that will make you feel more comfortable about going and exercising your right to vote.
And I'm sorry, that's on the county level, or is that on the state DPS level that they have to apply for that?
We have a question over here.
I am boring, white,
hetero, cisgender, middle-aged woman that is probably here. And I would like to hear from each of you, what is one specific thing that I can do that you would appreciate me doing as a voter, as a citizen, as an ally? Tell me a little bit about what is something that I can do tomorrow.
I don't know the answer to whether that's a county or a state issue. Photo ID exemption is available in Dallas County. Okay. As far as your question, thank you for that question about what is one thing that you can do. In my estimation, it's always, if you want to be a good, strong ally, to stand up in conversations when the people who are being talked about are not in the room and say, hey, do you hear how that just came out? Do you really mean this? Right? I always throw it back to them in the form of a question if I'm hearing something kind of ugly. And I'll tell one story on myself. I was at work and people were excited about dressing up for Halloween, and it was during the time when Caitlyn Jenner had just come out and, you know, had all the best possible changes that money could buy. And one of our senior level people who was a managing director said, well, I'm thinking of coming as Bruce Jenner. And I knew what he was talking about because of the snarkiness in his comment that he was going to put on some heels and put on a dress and put on a wig. And I just looked at him and I smiled and I said, well, you better really come with it because Caitlyn Jenner is an incredibly classy dresser. And I'm not sure you can pull that off, my dear. So there are ways to address things that get the point across by just simply, you know, if somebody's continually calling someone by the wrong name or calling them, like, number one, if you have a trans friend who now says, I want to go by this name, your first thing to do is in your contacts in your phone, change their contact and put in a current picture of them as they present now so that you won't screw up their pronouns. I'd like to pass that off to
Share.
I think that about the most important thing we can do is just be respectful, and that's in all levels. I mean, they used to make fun of me because they had a little sign that says "My sheriff wears heels," and when I was the sheriff, I think I was the only female in Texas at that time. So all I ask is that you treat whatever with respect. You know, whether I don't wear heels, by the way, they hurt. They hurt. Boots, yes. I think what anybody wants is just not to be degraded. And that's, I mean, that goes a long ways. Just respect people and don't degrade them.
Number one, I thank you for the question as well. I believe that Susie took the words right out of my mouth, but I want to kind of move over into a voting aspect as well, and that's engaging the LGBT youth that are just now being eligible to vote. A lot of times, you very rarely will see organizations coming out to the predominantly LGBT areas, the Strip on Cedar Springs, different clubs that are patronized by predominantly LGBT individuals, and advising them and kind of counseling them, coaching them, telling them, advising them on the different candidates, the viewpoints that they have, and what they are representing or what they're standing for. A lot of times, a lot of the LGBT individuals are not voting, and the reason why they are not voting is for that lack of knowledge. So once you come to them and say, hey, these are the candidates are pro-LGBT, or these people are not pro-LGBT, they're working on legislation to do X, Y, and Z, a lot of times they don't have that knowledge. So basically being that person to educate not only these youth, but the LGBT community on these different candidates, not on personal preference, but on their beliefs and what they're standing for. So basically just being an advocate and an educator as well.
We have one more question.
Or not.
Anybody?
Words matter. Language matters. So I know, Susie, you talked about asking questions, but do you have a resource if someone doesn't have someone to talk to say these are the proper ways we discuss this particular issue, or this is how we address each other?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I'll repeat the question. Sharon was asking if there's a resource that we could use. Yeah. If there's a resource that we could use to help us understand how to address questions or, talking points, that sort of thing. And I would say absolutely PFLAG. That stands for Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. And that is an organization that is absolutely like a 101 helpful. It's national. There are chapters. I would join PFLAG if you can. There's a new one that formed in the eastern part of Dallas County. The Texas Freedom Network, the Resource Center here in Dallas on Inwood and Cedar Springs is an amazing, they can connect people to affirming care, to just fun events for youth, etc. The Abounding Prosperity, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So she just mentioned a lot of great organizations. I also want to mention the Human Rights Campaign.
Yes.
The Trevor's Project as well are great resources to utilize. And also Abounding Prosperity is in the southern section. It is located in South Dallas off Martin Luther King Boulevard. It is the first clinic of their kind in that area to help number one, destigmatize, but also reduce that HIV STD rates in the southern sector of Dallas. So that's also a great resource that a lot of people, they have a lot of trucks that come out and do testing for free and different things of that nature, as does the Resource Center.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. You guys have been incredibly welcoming and gracious, and appreciate all your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, all three. What a privilege and honor to have them come and speak to us tonight. And what a great showing from our community to support this club and this establishment and this subject, this issue. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Before you go, I want to point out one more thing that was given to me earlier. You might have seen the little thing on your flyer on your table. Cynthia, raise your hand, is an ambassador for Envision Richardson. This is a program that is trying to get information for the land use that we're going to develop over the next 10 years, I believe, right? 20 to 25 years. I need to go to one of these meetings. But there's a website that you can go to if you have any questions about it. If you want to have input, please want to have input. If you're a Richardson citizen, please care. Talk to Cynthia. She can help you find where to have your input. So beyond that,
when's the next meeting?
And Susie has signs that you can have. Please get with Susie. Our next meeting is going to be at Staycation next Saturday. We're going to be focusing on immigration rights, and we have got some really good speakers that are going to be here. We're really knocking it out of the park, I must say, on the speakers, right? I mean, thank you. But we're going to be out there next Saturday from 3:30 to 5:30. Please join us. And next month, just so a little teaser for our next time that we're here, is going to be focused on voting rights. And we're going to start talking about get out the vote. We're going to be starting to talk about how we're going to get involved and be prepared for November. So does anybody have anything that I have not mentioned? Yes. Susie has a little bit more here.
Who wants to watch a debate where the mics can be turned off at the appropriate time? All right. There are a couple of different debate watch options. I'm aware that Elizabeth Ginsburg and Nathan Johnson are hosting an event at the Angelica Theater. So in case you're interested, only the first 150 people can sign up for that. What you need to know is that one side of the theater, or one side of the Angelica will have lovely, wonderful Democrats and exciting Biden-Harris signs, and the other side of the theater might be a different group watching the same event for a different purpose. So if you're in any way concerned about attending that event, the Dallas County Young Dems, the Funky East Dallas Dems, the East Dallas County Dems, and Stonewall Dems are also co-hosting an event at the Dallas County Democratic Party that's close to downtown. Who doesn't know where that is? Anybody? Okay, 1414 North Washington Avenue, Dallas. Is close to Big Baylor.
Oh, Big Baylor? Okay.
Yeah, right across the parking lot from the CWA hall. So, so two options that I know of. Pride all month long. All month long we have Pride events. Not too far from here, Rowlett Pride at the end of the month is going to be, they're doing Taste of Pride in Rowlett. That's next Friday night.
Saturday morning they have the Pride Parade in Plano, downtown Plano. The Collin County Democrats will be walking in that parade. If we want to walk with them, they want more walkers, more participants.
Tomorrow night in the Arts District in downtown, there's a Pride Festival that's open to everybody. There are a whole bunch of different things that you can tap into. It's a lot of fun, and I want to encourage anybody who's never actually walked the strip with us to register voters or to pass out voter information. I want to encourage you to get involved with us when we do Wine Walk. And I say that because it's a great way to meet people before they drink, because there's a nice line that forms, and we work the line to talk to people about, you registered to vote? Do you know what you're voting for? They see us, they thank us, they're excited about, for the most part, some are a little bit funny and out for a good time and, want to tell you all about Trump, and then they turn around and laugh when their friend hits them and says, he's not voting for Trump. But it's a great time. Would love for y'all to join us. Yes?
1414 what?
North Washington. The Dallas County Democratic Party headquarters. All right. And there's, for all the precinct chairs, this is CEC meeting on Monday night.
Yes.
Be there, be square.
Good reminder.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Anybody else got anything? If not, have another drink before you go if you want. And we'll see you next Saturday or next month. Thanks for coming out tonight.